Okay. Okay.
Are we supposed to show our camera? Like,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
There you go. Okay.
Hi, fam.
You guys are kind of like so.
It's cutting off. Oh,
Frida's setup is like good. You have like lighting and like I don't know.
Was like,
Okay.
oh,
Okay, wait. Okay. First question, the prompt. It's 244. Yes. No, 344. Descartes presents two thought experience in meditation one. How do they help accomplish his goal? Yeah. Which is to get rid of all former opinions and start anew.
yeah, all false beliefs, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, the two thought experiments she's talking about is the dreaming one and the God is evil or God is like good or whatever.
oh, the evil genius.
Yeah, the evil genius one and the dreaming one. So what he's trying to convey is that everything has to be doubted. Um, and I think in the first one, by saying that like our dreams are a combination of like real perceptions, but we don't know whether it's real or not because of the fact that our appearances can within our mind, like what our mind perceives appearances as, is like only in our mind, you know? So we could experience them at any time, whether they're actually happening or not, since we can perceive them. So I think it's good at showing that we have to doubt our appearances
Mhm.
since our mind can like perceive them no matter what. But I think at the same time, it's like we're not always dreaming, you know? Like then at that point, could you say that like how do we know that there even is a reality, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
Where do we find the questions?
Under workshop 3 video.
Oh, bye.
What's his goal again?
His goal is to find like what can be certain, basically.
Uh,
Like he wants to find something that cannot be doubted and then use those as his like foundation.
mm, and you just explained thought experiment 1, right?
Yeah, the dreaming one.
Oh, like you explained what it is, but the question is, what was it? Oh, how do they help accomplish his goal?
Hmm.
I think kind of just what you said, like he's using the tools of like doubting everything and building off truth, like from the beginning to find like certainty, you know?
Hmm. He uses like dreaming, saying that we don't know if like we're dreaming or not. What he's really trying to get at is that like even if we think that we're perceiving an experience, we might not be because we can perceive something no matter if we're experiencing it in the moment or not. But I think that like just the dream analogy in general is confusing because then you're taking like you're going to more of like an extreme of like, well, we don't know if we're dreaming or not, then in that case, like everything we do could be a dream, you know? And I know like I've heard like it's dumb, but I've heard people that argue that like we're all living in like, like none of it's real or whatever, but that's stupid, but at the same time him using the analogy like makes it seem valid.
Right. Hmm. So how does that help him like build a new foundation if he's just like saying it's like a dream?
Mm. What did you ask again? I low-key forgot.
How does that like because he talks about dreaming, right?
Uh-huh.
How does that like help build like the new foundation?
Mm, I feel like it establishes like a foundation for knowledge because like I feel like doubting everything that like he like accepted was like true. Like oh my God. I don't even know what to say, but I feel like it like ties into like when he was talking about like epistemology, like the framework of that because it was based on like certainty and like distinct like perceptions. Um but I feel like guys, I don't know what to say. Like it gives us like a solid base for like knowledge. Like I don't know, I feel like it's just like testing everything that we know. And I feel like after reading it and like in my groups and stuff, like it was like Izzy or Amy that know like a bunch about like philosophy or whatever. And like I feel like they're making me like question myself, like if I'm like real or like if I'm in a dream, because now I feel like what even like is this? Do you guys feel the same way or is it just me?
Like you're questioning reality?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Like I don't know. Like it got to me.
Um for I agree. Well, that's what I was saying because it's like at that point, like if you're gonna go that far as to say like we could be dreaming, then like I don't know, that opens up a possibility for like so many things. And it's also like in a sense that makes sense because yes, we could be dreaming, but at the same time, like a lot of times when we're dreaming, I feel like we understand like what's going on around us and like we can control what's going on around us sometimes. Or like we at least know that we're in a dream. Like at least when I dream, I feel like I know it's a dream. Or I feel like I can control it, you know? So I feel like if it was like actually like a dream versus real life, then we'd be able to control things in real life, but that's like the distinction is like we can't there's things in real life that we can't control versus like if we were dreaming and we it was just all within our mind, you know. I think the argument is taking out the fact that there are things in the world that happen that we can't control that like wouldn't necessarily happen in a dream, you know, and that's how we can separate. Because what's it called? What's the other guy's name? The other skeptic? what's the other guy's name? Oh, Sextus. Sextus
Oh,
believes like in like our mind and body are like kind of similar versus Descartes is saying that like our mind or no, he or sorry, Sextus is saying that our mind and our body are separate, like things, but
Mhm.
Descartes is saying that like our mind and body are like one, basically, you know, which doesn't really make sense to me. And same with the evil God one. It just doesn't really make sense because he's also assuming that like people believe that God is all powerful, and in that case, there has to be like a equally opposing evil God. But that doesn't really make sense to me either because like if he's assuming that God's all powerful, then you assume he'd be like a Christian, but Christians don't believe in like another entity that's like also power all powerful. But- So I feel like if he was like really believed in the whole like second analogy, like the whole God is evil, then why didn't he just bring up like Satan or the fact that, and why does the fact that like God allows us to be deceived mean that it's like a bad thing? Like why is that a bad thing? Like I don't know.
Well, I guess to him it would be because he is trying to find truth and like knowledge.
Yeah.
So a God that like deceives you would be evil. I don't know if he was questioning like if everybody believed in like one God. He was just saying like the possibility that there is a God and like what if he's evil and trying to deceive us? Um, I don't really understand like the dream analysis. Like, did he did he say like dreaming was a way of him getting towards knowledge? I don't remember that part in the reading.
Um I think with the dream analogy, what he was really just trying to get at is that we have like things that we um see that like that we perceive and in turn we like process those things and then those things are like kind of like what Hume was saying like those things are in our mind and then that they come out like when we're dreaming, you know, because he said like what do you say? We cannot give them natures that are entirely new, but merely make a certain melody of the members of different animals. So he's saying that we can't make something like our dreams can't make something new, and we can't like learn more from our dreams, but because they're what is already in our mind. And then he goes on to say that like our mind is the only thing that we can know for truth, like that, like our rational faculty is the only thing that we can like prove, like 2 + 2 = 4 like astronomy, physics, stuff like that. So I think he was just trying to get at that in dreaming, like when he says when we're dreaming 2 + 2 always equals 4, he's saying that like dreams are just like perceptions of what we see versus like that's like external. And so if it's external, we can't like know that it's certain. But internal things that we can prove in our mind, like astronomy and stuff like that, that is something that can be certain. So basically, the dream thing is he's just trying to say that we can't know things for certain because they're external, like knowledge rather than internal knowledge.
Right. So he's just kind of giving a different example of how like I guess certainties can be like perceived differently in different situations.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I think like all he came down to in this whole meditation was that the only thing that's true is that because he doubts things, that means there's something that
Yeah,
being that is able to doubt.
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, he's saying like the internal ability to like think is makes me think like makes me know that I exist. So then the second question is that he says, do you want to go to the second question? What time is it? Yeah, the second question is in meditation two discovers that one thing that cannot be doubted. What is it and how does this discovery help him accomplish his goal? And then isn't the thing that can't be doubted his existence? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Someone else wants. I got in trouble for talking, so someone else talk.
I got in trouble for not talking.
Y'all have the floor.
Mia got it.
Gio, you've been quiet.
Bro.
All
Well, let me.
right, let me look.
Oh my God.
On the fourth page, like on the first column, it talks about it mostly.
Let's see.
It's like towards the end of that paragraph
No, I like the top of the second column on the fourth page, or the first column on the fourth page, like all of that.
where he's like he can
Where
never
this,
be nothing but think that I am something.
yeah,
So that
I
ab-
am, I exist is necessary true each time that I pronounce it or that I mentally conceive it, but I do not yet know clearly what I am. I am the fuck. Okay, yeah, basically. What the freak?
so I was
The one that she pointed out was more on like on the right column, like the not the last paragraph, the one right before that. And it's
Hmm.
like I am, however, a real thing and really exists, but what thing? And he says, I've answered a thing which thinks.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and he just questions what it is a thing which thinks. It is a thing which doubts, understands, affirms, denies, wills, refuses, which also imagines and feels.
Yeah, so it basically says that we like have the ability to think and we have like a rational faculty. So because of that, we exist, but we don't know for sure that we're like what we would think we are, like humans, but we are like something, like we are at the very least like
A thinking thing.
a concept, I guess, if you would use Plato's words, a thinking thing.
Mm. Well,
Yeah.
I wrote down that he was concluding that he is existing as long as he is thinking, and he's if you're like doubting requires thinking, and just because of that, he thinks that he exists.
Yeah, he also says like
Mhm.
that the fact that he's able to like be deceived, like the fact that he's able to like not know something is also proving that he exists. Like the fact that he can be deceived.
Oh, because like in the beginning, he was like, he had false beliefs, no?
Yeah. So it's basically the same thing as saying that thinking, but he's saying like the fact that I had false beliefs means that I thought up something that was wrong, which means that.
Right.
Um, okay. So moving on to Hume.
Wait, we
We
didn't. Wait, did we answer the second part?
oh,
How does this
so
discovery help him
okay, go
or
ahead.
whatever accomplish his goal or whatever? Did we answer that or was I?
I don't think we did.
Okay. I guess for me, I think it helps him accomplish his goal because, like I said earlier, it's like establishing like a secure foundation for knowledge and like um I guess can navigate him through like skepticism and like further exploring like or I guess like philosophical exploration and then which can like tie into like his arguments about like of reality and like the existence of God.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Thanks.
Okay. Does anyone else want to answer the second one?
What are we answering?
Why, how does the fact that we are able to think help him reach his goal of
Um,
understanding that things can be doubted?
so I got you. So now he like knows that he exists, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of helps him prove like that he doesn't have false beliefs because in the beginning he's all about, or he basically said he wants to like get away from that being deceived. But
Mm-hmm.
in that like second argument, he found that he does exist and like explains why, and I feel like that kind of helps him get away from it and like start something. If that makes
Bless.
Bless her.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the fact that he can think shows that he can like doubt.
sense.
So, I mean, I feel like when he went into the thing, he kind of was under the assumption, like when he started the text, he was speaking like having the assumption that we knew that he can think, but just the him like validifying it shows that like the only thing that he knows for sure is that he can think. And that also shows that basically he's saying that everything else is uncertain. Like
Mhm.
he's saying that everything else is doubted, and that also show that sets like a tone for the rest of the thing that like he's giving you this like little dilemma, this little argument, but in the end, he knows that none of it can. He doesn't know actually if any of it is true. You know.
Right, yeah. So,
Well, yeah, we have like 10 minutes left, so let's keep going.
oh, shit. Okay.
What is the difference between impressions and ideas, according to Hume, and why is the distinction important? Okay. So this is Hume.
Mhm. And impressions are like sensation, desires, and emotions, right?
Hmm.
Ideas are uh they forgot what you put for them. Faint images of the others in thinking and reasoning. Is that his definition of it?
Yeah. It's like he says it's the cognitive like state that we like are in after the first impression, if that makes sense. Like the thinking. He says that like impressions are like feeling and ideas are like thinking.
Oh, okay. Oh, so that's how they're different. So,
Yeah, I think it also says like ideas are like thinking and reasoning, and then impressions are like perceptions, kind of like things that can be caused by external things, and then ideas like, wait, never mind. Okay, I don't know how to like describe impressions, but like ideas is just like thinking and reasoning.
Yeah, I think impressions are triggered by like something that was external that like you experience versus like ideas are like based off of the experience that like was material, but it's only like the internal like thinking and working that you like do after the fact.
After the impressions.
Yeah, so I think the difference is that the big like distinction that's important is that like one is like triggered by external and then that's like more like sensational emotions versus logic and reasoning that's like how that it's a process that happens internally. It's ideas. Do you want to add to that?
I just didn't like that he was kind of like contradicting himself because at first he says like impressions cause ideas, but it can never be the other way around. And then later he's like, oh, but it's like depending on circumstances, it can be the other way around. I don't know, I feel like that confused me.
Mm-hmm. Are you talking about like the memories and like the imagination? Like when he was talking about that?
I think so. Like on the third page.
Which part on the third page?
It's the first paragraph, like the last sentences.
Where it's like impressions are the causes of our ideas, not vice versa.
Yeah, that's like when he's saying like it cannot be the other way around.
Uh-huh.
I don't know where, but later in the text he says it can be the other way around.
Yeah, he was bringing in like how deaf people can't like hear, so they can never use like the like sensation of like sound to like create an impression. But then he was saying that it could go the other way around. But I don't really get that either.
I do agree with like him saying like, oh, if you like don't have certain impressions, you can never have those corresponding ideas, like unless you've been through that situation or experience, then you can't really have thoughts about it or like reason through it.
Yeah.
It was a question, I don't remember.
Why is the distinction important?
What was the difference?
I guess the biggest difference is just in what way do you process like impressions versus ideas. And then they say that you process impressions like in a more forceful way, like those happen to you, like sensations, emotion, those are like forceful, those happen to you. They're basically saying that they're like more natural versus like ideas are internally how you respond like to those emotions and those and then that's more of like a thinking more of a rational side of things and rather than like um I don't know, I just lost my train of thought. I think we could go to the last question because the meeting's about to end. So our reading from Hume comes from part one of the book, which focuses on the origin and nature of ideas. In what ways is this a valuable starting point for an attempt to understand the human mind? I think that it's just helpful because it's more of like a psychological standpoint to philosophy and to like worldviews. And I mean, this guy's an empiricist, which like is harder because it limits it in a way to only your experiences. But at the same time, our brain can only like conceptualize what we experience. So, and
Mhm.
like from a like psychological standpoint of understanding the brain, I think it's helpful to understand like how we process things and like in what ways our emotions versus like our actual like logic and like our like foundational beliefs, like how those differ, you know?
Yeah. I feel like it helps like build a foundation because he goes like on impressions and ideas. I feel like that whole uh of the whole reading of this was based on those two things and it's like keeps building off on that, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Yeah. So it's like a good starting point. Yeah.
Nice. All right, we've reached 30 minutes. So anyone else have any closing closing thoughts for some dissertation?
Like better. The first reader or the second one?
Either. Or just the last question. And then Frida, you're gonna update it to it's my mom. You're gonna update or upload it to YouTube?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Bless Frida.
I know, bless up. Thank you. Okay. Are we done then?
Yeah, I think we're done.
Okay. So then press, I don't know, you should